Minidoka National Historic Site is a national historic site in the western United States. It commemorates the more than 9,000 Japanese Americans who were imprisoned at the Minidoka War Relocation Center during the Second World War. Located in the Magic Valley of south-central Idaho in Jerome County, the site is in the Snake River Plain, a remote high desert area north of the Snake River. It is 17 miles northeast of Twin Falls and just north of Eden, in an area known as Hunt. The site is administered by the National Park Service of the U.S. Department of the Interior, and was originally established as the Minidoka Internment National Monument in 2001. Its elevation is just under 4,000 feet above sea level. Minidoka War Relocation Center. The Minidoka War Relocation Center was in operation from 1942 to 45 and one of 10 camps at which Japanese Americans, both citizens and resident aliens, were interned during World War II. Under provisions of President Franklin D. Roosevelt's Executive Order 9066, all persons of Japanese ancestry were excluded from the west coast of the United States. At its peak, Minidoka housed 9,397 Japanese Americans, predominantly from Oregon, Washington, and Alaska. The Minidoka Irrigation Project shares its name with Minidoka County. The Minidoka name was applied to the Idaho Relocation Center in Jerome County, probably to avoid confusion with the Jerome War Relocation Center in Jerome, Arkansas. Construction by the Morrison-Knudsen Company began in 1942 on the camp, which received 10,000 internees by year's end. Many of the internees worked as farm labor, and later on the irrigation project and the construction of Anderson Ranch Dam, northeast of Mountain Home. The Reclamation Act of 1902 had racial exclusions on labor which were strictly adhered to until Congress changed the law in 1943. Population at the Minidoka camp declined to 8,500 at the end of 1943, and to 6,950 by the end of 1944. On February 10, 1946, the vacated camp was turned over to the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation, which used the facilities to house returning war veterans. The Minidoka War Relocation Center consisted of 36 blocks of housing. Each block contained 12 barracks, laundry facilities, bathrooms, and a mess hall. Recreation halls in each block were multi-use facilities that served as both worship and education centers. Minidoka had a high school, a junior high school, and 2 elementary schools, Huntville and Stafford. The Minidoka War Relocation Center also included 2 dry cleaners, 4 general stores, a beauty shop, 2 barber shops, radio and watch repair stores, as well as 2 fire stations. The U.S. Army opened military service to Japanese Americans in 1943. Enlistees from Minidoka accounted for 25% of total volunteers, and Minidoka suffered more casualties, male and female, than any other camp. The Minidoka internees created an honor roll to acknowledge the service of the fellow Japanese Americans. Although the original was lost after the war, the honor roll was recreated by the Friends of Minidoka group in 2011 following a grant from the National Park Service. Terminology. Since the end of World War II, there has been debate over the terminology used to refer to Minidoka and the other camps in which Americans of Japanese ancestry and their immigrant parents were incarcerated by the United States government during the war. Minidoka has been referred to as a War Relocation Center, Relocation Camp, Relocation Center, Internment Camp, and Concentration Camp, and the controversy over which term is the most accurate and appropriate continues to the present day. National Historic Site. The internment campsite was listed on the National Register of Historic Places on July 10, 1979. A national monument was established in 2001 at the site by President Bill Clinton on January 17, as he invoked his authority under the Antiquities Act. As one of the newest units of the national park system, it does not yet have any visit facilities or services available on location. However, a temporary exhibit and information about the monument is on display at the Visitor Center of the nearby Hagerman Fossil Beds National Monument. Currently, visitors see the remains of the entry guard station, waiting room, and rock garden, and can visit the Relocation Center display at the Jerome County Museum in nearby Jerome and the restored barracks building at the Idaho Farm and Ranch Museum southeast of town. There is a small marker adjacent to the remains of the guard station, and a larger sign at the intersection of Highway 25 and Hunt Road, which gives some of the history of the camp. The National Park Service began a 3-year public planning process in the fall of 2002 to develop a general management plan and environmental impact statement. The general management plan sets forth the basic management philosophy for the monument and provides the strategies for addressing issues and achieving identified management objectives that will guide management of the site for the next 15 to 20 years. Indiana, 2006. President George West Bush signed H.R. 1492 into law on December 21, guaranteeing $38 million in federal money to restore the Minidoka Relocation Center along with 9 other former Japanese internment camps. Less than 2 years later, on May 8, 2008, President Bush signed the Wild Sky Wilderness Act into law, which changed the status of the former U.S. National Monument to National Historic Site and added the Bainbridge Island Japanese-American Exclusion Memorial on Bainbridge Island, Washington to the monument. Notable Minidoka internees: Paul Chihara, an American composer; Ken Neto, a Japanese-American mobster with the Chicago outfit and eventually an FBI informant; Fumiko Hayashida, an American activist, also interned at Manzana; Taki Kimura, a martial arts practitioner and instructor, also interned at Tule Lake; Joseph Kitagawa, professor at the University of Chicago, known for his work in the history of religions; Fujitaro Kubota, an American gardener and philanthropist; Aki Kuros, a Seattle teacher and civil rights activist; John Matsudera, an American painter; Shigmureo of San Francisco, Clark, who played a prominent role in the San Francisco beat scene; William K. Nakamura, a United States Army soldier and a recipient of the Medal of Honor; George Nakashima, a Japanese-American woodworker, architect, and furniture maker; Kenjiro Nomura, a Japanese-American painter; Frank Okada, an American abstract expressionist painter; John Okada, a Japanese-American writer; James Sakamoto, a journalist, boxer, and community organizer; Roger Shimomura, an American artist and professor of art; Monica Sohn, a Japanese-American novelist; Gary A. Tanaka, a Japanese-American businessman; Komikichi Tokita, a Japanese-American painter and diarist; Newton K. Wesley, an optometrist and an early pioneer of the contact lens; Kenji Yamada, a 2-time U.S. national judo champion; Mitsuye Yamada, a Japanese-American writer; Takushi Yamashita, an early 20th-century civil rights pioneer, also interned at Tule Lake and Manzana; Minoru Yasui, a Japanese-American lawyer who challenged the constitutionality of curfews used during World War II in Yasui v. United States.